Portion of today's show brought to you by Ferris Law Group. Welcome back to the broadcast. Well, buying a home can be a monumental undertaking for the first-time buyer, so we have some tips now to make that process a little easier. Cindy O'Gorman and Matt Ferris here to fill us in on what to do, what not to do. Thanks for joining us.
Sure. It's a big deal. It's an emotional, exciting, fun deal to buy your first house, right?
Absolutely.
How does a realtor play a role in that?
Well, you want to hire a real estate agent that you're comfortable with and that you trust. And a realtor should be able to narrow down maybe the top 10 homes from the 100 in your price range to meet your specific criteria, and make it a lot easier and less time consuming for the buyer.
So, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, don't you feel like people should look for an agent that sort of represents them, like maybe has the same taste or the same interests?
Right.
Because I think if you have somebody whose job it is to go find you your dream home, it's probably more successful if you have somebody who's like you.
Right, and you're going to spend a lot of time with that agent. So you want to be, you're in a car with them for a lot of hours. You want to be with somebody you feel comfortable with.
Absolutely. Yeah. And who knows? I mean, I think also you have to think as a buyer about what you want, what you can afford, what elements are really important to you,
right?
What things you can be flexible on and what things you want to avoid, right?
Right. And you want to get pre-qualified before you start your search. You know, you don't want to show someone homes in the $500,000 range if they can only afford $300,000.
Sure.
Then they're really disappointed when they have to go down in price and look at that. So it also makes your offer a lot stronger when you submit to a seller with a pre-qual letter.
Okay, great. That's good to do then.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like you should always have an agent representing you, or could you have an attorney represent you if it's like a for sale by owner situation?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, here in Texas, most people buy a house without a real estate attorney. It's kind of odd because it is one of the biggest purchases that most people make. We often get involved if there's special language they need drafted. Mineral reservations and details about maybe some repairs that have been negotiated. We'll get involved and draft there. But typically, you get a great agent involved like Cindy O'Gorman. She can handle it. So
yeah, because agents really know so much about real estate law. You have to, right?
You do, and there's so many loopholes and dates and deadlines that if you miss, you can be sued if you don't, or you can't get out of a contract if you miss a deadline. So we help follow those deadlines and dates, for the contract all along the way.
Let's talk about the inspection. Inspections, it's almost a little bit scary, right? If you've fallen in love with a home, you really want it to pass its inspection.
That's right. I mean, there's no way you can buy a house without having a home inspection.
Right.
So you've got to get that done. There's an option period in the contract that you have to negotiate, and you need to make sure you negotiate a long enough option period to give you time to get your inspection. I had a situation the other day. I got a phone call from a buyer and said, hey, my inspection's not done, but my option period's about to expire. And what do? I said, well, you're going to need to either get an amendment and extend your option period, because you need to be able to read that inspection report to determine whether you want to terminate the contract.
Or ask them to
make repairs and so forth.
And that's what the realtor will also help you negotiate repairs or get estimates so you know how much you're going to have to put into a property you're buying.
Yeah. So
it's an exciting time for anyone buying a home.
Right.
And so it'd be good to be in y'all's hands, right?
we believe so, yes, no doubt.
The other thing that's so important when you're looking for a home is to have that comparative analysis done so that you know that you're not maybe paying too much for a property, right?
Right. Just as you would do a comparative market analysis for a seller to determine their price, you do the same thing when representing a buyer to determine what they offer and ultimately pay for that property. And then that's backed up by putting in the contract that it must appraise. And then the mortgage banker is going to send an appraiser out to justify that that value is correct.
Don't the appraisals almost always come in like where your price is?
I wish they did. No, that's our biggest problem right now is because the appraisers are using comps from 6 months ago. So it was right before the markets turned around, and they have to go by those comps. And we're having appraisals that are short now, and the buyers know because they're not going to overpay.
Right.
They've looked at enough homes to know that what they're offering is what it's valued at, and the appraisers are still kind of behind on that. So
it's frustrating for you.
It hurts the market coming up. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, along those lines, in most contracts, the buyer will negotiate or should negotiate. If the house does not appraise for at least the purchase price, then they have the right to terminate.
Right.
Sure.
Even though they're outside their option period. And I don't think I did a very good job explaining what an option period is. Some people may not know what that is. You pay $100 additional consideration to buy 10 days to get what we call a free look, or so that you can terminate the contract for any reason. So on day 11, if you have not terminated that contract, you're stuck. You
Yeah.
have to either buy that house or the seller can keep
It
the
can
earnest
be
money.
kind of scary.
So-
Well, thank you for sharing the
Thank
tips,
you.
you guys. I
Thank
think if
you.
anyone out there is looking for their first home, these are great tips to have. You can contact Cindy O'Gorman at Ebby Halliday at cindygorman.com, or you can reach her at the number that you see there on your screen. If you are looking for your dream home, that's who you call.
And for more information on the Ferris Law Group, check out their website, ferris-lawgroup.com, or email them at info@ferris-lawgroup.com.